Hi, everyone. I wanted to thank you all for joining me as I follow this trial for Jaylin Brazier. Brazier. Everybody pronounces it differently. It's the disappearance and alleged murder of Zion Foster. I think is a good time now to kind of let's go over where we are because we've seen various witnesses. Let's see. And so I want to just kind of touch on some things that have happened. Now, Jaylin has the charges against him are second degree murder and tampering with evidence. As I record this, which is late evening on Wednesday, the 15th, the prosecution did rest today, and the defense has no witnesses to call. Jaylin Brazier is not going to be testifying on his behalf, and they're going to be doing closings on Thursday morning, tomorrow morning. So I would like to get it's 9:30 a.m. So before we do that on at tomorrow morning, I thought let's get out as much as we possibly can between now and then because I still have pieces of the trial that I haven't showed you guys yet. So let's go back to some key pieces in the trial itself. Now, as most of you know already, this happened on January 4th, say 2021. I've lost my year. So Zion Foster is Jaylin Brazier's cousin. It's actually cousin by marriage, and or should I say, a cousin by the second cousin. Second cousin, yeah, second cousin. Okay, so what happened was they went over to his house to hang out. They were smoking marijuana. He claims now he's changed his story a couple of times, but he claims that after she smoked her pieces, she brought her own pot, he brought his pot, um, and I don't know if they were switching around or not, but he said that she got tired, which is normally what happens after you've been smoking dope, I guess. Um, so she's like, "I need a nap," and when he went upstairs, he came back down to check on her, and she was gone. She was no longer alive. This is how he says it happened. This is the piece that I think he's lying on. This piece right here. Something happened, and it's leading towards the prosecution is pushing towards a sexual involvement, as if they had something more going on than just cousins, and they're painting him out to be I don't want to say a sexual predator, but they found a lot of searches in revolving involving pornography, some cartoon pornography. They some pornography that's pretty graphic as far as like forcefulness that kind of leans well when you listen to the last detective's interview you'll hear more details of that. I want to go into that, but they're kind of trying to paint him out to be this kind of sex driven guy, and that he probably had groomed her for a long time and there was a lot more there than just cousins. After he passed 3 days after she had disappeared, because remember originally she was reported missing, and he was like, "Oh, whatever I can do to help, just let me know." And then eventually he caved. He couldn't. I don't know if he felt like it was all coming down on him. Or he was getting pushed up against a wall. I don't know if it was the attorney that he was with because he originally had a different attorney, and that attorney has since passed away. But before he passed away, I think he was firing him. And I gotta admit, I mean, like, if that attorney was not impressive, I feel like the only real true evidence that they have here is his his interrogation tape. I just don't think that there's enough pieces that tie in the DNA and and the video and all that. To me, it's all, what do they say? Well, how do they say it? A reasonable doubt. I don't know. It's late, guys. I apologize. I need coffee. Okay, so he starts doing these searches on the internet. Are trash trucks also compactors? How did the police track your phone? How did the police track missing people's phones? And I think I'm trying to think if he said he had said he had left her phone with her. So after he admitted to dumping her body in the dumpster, he said that he never took his phone off of her. He thought that she either had it in her pocket or somewhere on her person. So to clear up a timeline, she went missing on January 4th of 2022. By January 19th, he was in an interrogation room. And that is where he first initially said, okay, I dumped her body in the dumpster. During the interrogation, when asked, he told the police that he didn't delete any content from his cell phone. He also said he didn't delete any of his Ring camera footage. Those statements conflict with previous witness testimony that content was deleted. After they interrogated him, they drove him to the dumpster in Highland Park to identify which specific dumpster. They walked through the whole, okay, was this it? Did you lift the lid up? Was the lid already lifted? They asked him that a couple of times. And both times he said it was already open. So he didn't, they probably did it on purpose to see if he would say something different. Literally, it looks like the night that he dumped her body, the next morning there was a trash pickup. Now, I'm going to show you guys a video coming up today of that kind of details how they did the trash search. And normally I would say, pertaining to this case, it's a lot of information that's kind of like, okay, just get to the point type thing. But it's interesting because I never thought about the details that go into them having to do a search at one of these landfills. And if you're a true crime junkie like I am, understanding the process that they have to go through and why it takes so long to do it, this kind of helps you understand it better. So that'll be today. The investigator, what's her name? Shannon Jones. Yeah. She's coming back up on the stand in this video that I have here today. Now let's see. Let's go back to day 4. They did some prison phone calls. And they were between him and his ex-fiancée, Katrina Smith. These were jail phone calls. They also played some interrogation tapes, and in the interrogation tapes on January 20th, Jaylin claimed he and Foster did LSD and smoked marijuana the night of her disappearance. And that's the first time that he's brought up LSD. Then another interrogation on October of 2022, he said he lied about the LSD and that they'd only smoked marijuana. He says, I did not kill her. I did not physically do anything to her. But as you guys know, this conflicts. Like, okay, if that was the case, if you didn't do anything wrong, then why didn't you just call police? I mean, it just doesn't make sense, especially if it's a family member. There's just something not right about that piece right there. Something happened in that home, and he's the only one that is left to know what happened. And they were trying to lead him, like, they were like, maybe you didn't maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe something happened. And he's like, no, I didn't do anything physically to her. Let's see. He said that she could have still been breathing. Oh, one of the detectives said to him, she could have still been breathing. You put her in the dumpster. You realize that, right? And other than a bad reaction to the marijuana or alleged LSD, his theory is that something else happened in that home that night. And he said that Jaylin, who had previously been questioned about a scratch on his neck that he blamed his cat for, and his ex-girlfriend testified that the cat wasn't like she wasn't an aggressive little cat, but still, I mean, that can be proven wrong too. So, I mean, there's just so many things here that are just, I'm not saying he's innocent. I think he did something. I think he did a lot more than what he's saying he did. It says, my problem is if we find her and we find trauma, I mean, strangulation or something, then you're screwed. And I want you to get in front of that. And they told him, without having the physical body, we really don't have the evidence to support any of these theories. So let's see, that was that one. And then they had the medical doctor come up and testify, which I found odd considering there's no body involved that's been found here. But on this past Tuesday, they were talking a lot towards what caused her death, and they brought in a forensic pathologist. And this forensic pathologist examined her medical records, obviously her history, her medical history. There's no body, so they can't. I don't know. I'm sorry. I needed a drink. Okay. It says, my baseline conclusion is that her cause of death is unknown. In a case like this, an autopsy and hopefully toxicology would need to be done to sort out what happened in her final moments. I feel like everything that the prosecution has brought to the table has been put out there, and then it's been pulled back. I just don't. There's not a whole lot of. There's nothing solid. It's just so strange. Um, she was this pathologist was tasked with studying several years worth of Zion's medical records, as well as Brazier's accounts of what happened the night of January 4th. That includes their alleged activities and what he told investigators he observed about her. The conditions that could have resulted in her death, like the asthma, the circumstances that were described did not fit it. If she was having a cardiac event, she would have been experiencing palpitations. I'm sorry. I don't even know if I should be recording right now. I'm not drinking, y'all. I'm just tired. It says, and she would have had chest pains. That was not in the circumstances. The drugs that she was known to have used, the LSD and the marijuana, could not have caused her death in any way. There you have it. Now, I would say that's pretty dang strong. At one point, the doctor said Foster previously had COVID-19. The defense asked her a series of questions about whether a previous diagnosis of COVID-19 paired with any heart ailment could have triggered her death. There's so many unknowns in COVID-19. That's actually a smart call on the defense attorneys. I will have to say. I know we find him annoying, but he's brought up some good points in this trial. Okay. Some individuals had heart issues that were caused by COVID-19, correct? And she said yes. He said, you're not in a position to rule out COVID-19 could have been a contributing factor in somebody who already had a pre-existing cardiovascular issues. And she said, in order for that to be an option, you would still have to be COVID positive and have COVID signs and symptoms. They also had another detective that took the stand to testify about the internet search history, and specifically his visits to the pornography sites where he used the word step cousin and several searches. Now, the site that they went on, you guys, first of all, oh my gosh, I never knew that site existed, and I went on it when they brought it up in court. I'm like, I want to see what this is. So I go on the site. It is so bad. It is porn. It is true porn. And But I just put in I didn't put in any searches. I just put the web address because it's a really short name, right? And the first thing that popped up in the first page feed, there was something on there about cousins. So they're trying to say that he specifically searched for the word step cousins. I didn't see that they could have proven that he did that. They just speculate that he did. So I just feel like I it's just some of the things that the prosecution is coming up with, it's I don't feel like they've proven their case. It's just a tough call for me. I mean, I do believe he's guilty. I believe he did something wrong, but when you're sitting on on that jury, you beyond a reasonable doubt, is it beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't know. I mean, the it could be they could come back and say, well, the one thing that got him was his interrogation video. He said he did something to her body. He said he dumped her. But at the same time, there's two separate charges. So they could come back and say not guilty on second degree murder, but guilty of tampering with evidence. It'll be interesting. And if that does happen, I wonder how the sentencing would go with something like that. That's interesting. So anyway, I just kind of wanted to go over that really quickly. Now we'll cut in. Let's watch some more video, some more testimony.
L, B as in boy, ERG.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, could you tell the jury where you currently work?
I currently work for Internal Affairs at the Wayne County Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you been with the Wayne County Sheriff's Office?
Going on 18 years this year.
And how long have you been specifically working for Internal Affairs?
Since August 1st, 2019.
And in terms of your role with Internal Affairs, what are your basic duties?
Live monitoring. So if I was sitting in my office right now, I'd be listening to jail calls going on in real time. And then my other responsibility is providing jail communications to the prosecutor's office or requesting police agency.
And when you refer to jail calls, in terms of the Wayne County Sheriff's Office, does it have any role with respect to the Wayne County Jail?
Yes, sir.
And what is the Wayne County Sheriff's Office role when it comes to the Wayne County Jail?
Just providing safety and security of the facility.
Okay. And
okay, sorry about that.
Do inmates at the Wayne County Jail have the ability to make calls to the outside from jail?
Yes, sir.
And are those calls recorded?
Yes, sir.
And is there some sort of system in place that stores recordings of those calls?
Yes, sir.
And do you have access to that system?
Yes, sir, I do.
And at times throughout this case, have you been asked by either myself or by members of the Detroit Police Department to provide recordings of calls associated with an inmate by the name of Jaylin Brazier?
Yes, sir.
And when asked to, I guess, provide calls specific to an inmate, how can you find calls specific to a particular inmate?
Just by the inmate's name.
Okay. And are there ways to in the system to go in and I guess pull calls from a specific inmate?
Yes, sir. For a specific inmate or a specific phone number.
Okay. And how do you go about doing that for a specific inmate?
Logging in, telling the company that we're contracted with, putting in the requested information. Then the system ends up generating an email link, which is sent to the prosecutor's office, which they can extract the calls. So the system essentially pulls the requested information from their servers, which is making a copy of it, and gets sent to the prosecutor's office. They'll get that download link, click on it, gives them a zip file, they extract the calls, and then they can review them.
And are there any ways to ensure that calls and recordings of calls are traceable to a particular inmate?
Yes, sir.
And what sort of system or controls are in place to do that?
So how it works is when the inmates come into Wayne County Jail, they're booked in a chronological order, so no two inmates have the same inmate number. Following that, we give them a 6-digit PIN After that, we give them a 4-digit PIN, which is at the last 4 digits of their social security number. If the inmate doesn't know his social security number, we reset that 4-digit PIN. Then the inmate picks a PIN number that he can remember. Now, when the inmate sets up his account with Telmate, puts in his inmate number, followed by the 6-digit PIN, followed by the 4-digit PIN, and then he says a name which is captured for voice biometrics that's prevent theft.
Okay, and so are there ways potentially for an inmate to bypass that system and make a call that might not be traceable to that specific inmate?
Yes, sir.
And how might an inmate go about doing that?
So if you got another inmate on the ward and you talk to him and the inmate agrees to it, you can actually call that telephone number after he goes through his own prompts on his own account, and then just after he's done with the prompts and the voice biometrics, he can just hand the phone to the inmate that requested it, and then the conversation can happen.
And is it, in your experience of being involved with internal affairs over the past 5 years, have you come into circumstances where you found calls from one inmate on another inmate's account?
Yes, sir, several times.
Okay. And in connection with this particular case, were you also asked to search for calls to a specific phone number, sort of jail system wide?
Yes, sir, a couple of them.
And when you searched for calls to those specific numbers you were asked to search for, were you able to identify inmate calls to those numbers?
Yes, sir.
And did you provide those calls to me or to other individuals in this case?
Yes, sir.
And was one of the numbers that you were requested to search for 313-516-7046?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was one of the other numbers you were requested to search for 313-412-5068?
Yes, sir.
And I'm holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 90. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Within the Telmate system, do you have the ability to go in and generate a list of calls that have been made to a specific number?
Yes, sir.
And what is proposed exhibit 90?
It's the call details for a specific phone number.
And what is the specific phone number at issue there?
313-516-7046.
Okay, and approximately how many calls were you able to find attributable to that number?
1,816.
And are the vast majority of those calls specific to one particular inmate?
Yes, sir.
And which inmate is that?
Jaylin Brazier.
And are there any exceptions to that? Are there calls to that number associated with other accounts?
Yes, sir. It's 31 of them.
Okay.
18 of those being no audio because the caller hung up, no one answered, no funds on the account, and the other 13 were conversations. One of those being just a voicemail where it said voicemail box full.
And if you were to go into the Telmate system again today and try to generate sort of that same report of call detail records to that specific number, would you get a document that looks substantially similar to what's been marked as proposed exhibit 90?
Yes. Now, if I run it till today's date, it might change.
Because you might have more calls after the date that this particular report was run?
Right, which was April 24th when I ran this one.
Okay. Your Honor, I move to
2024. Sorry, 2024.
I move to admit proposed exhibit 90.
No objection.
Okay, thank you. And I'm also holding what's been marked as proposed exhibit 91. May I approach, Your Honor? And sir, is this proposed exhibit 91, is that another report of call detail records?
Yes, sir.
And is that a report of sort of like system-wide calls from inmates to a particular number?
Yes, sir.
And what is that particular number?
It's 412-5608. That's 313.
Okay, and approximately how many calls are there to that number during the date range that you ran the report for?
There was 294. 291 of them were from Jaylin Brazier's account. The other 3 were from other inmates. 2 of them had no audio because there's no answer. And then the other one's a conversation, which you're going to be playing today.
Okay. And again, if you were to go into the system today and generate that same sort of report, other than any calls that happened after that date range, would you get a report that looks a lot like that document that you're holding that's marked as proposed exhibit 91?
Yes, sir.
And I move to admit proposed exhibit 91, Your Honor.
No objection.
And in terms of your testimony today, did I ask you to familiarize yourself with 6 particular call recordings?
Yes, sure you did.
And are those all recordings that you at some point pulled directly from the Telmate system?
Yes, sir.
And is it your understanding that those recordings are all on this particular disc that I have labeled as proposed exhibit 62?
Yes, sir.
And if you were to go back into the Telmate system today and pull those calls, again, those 6 calls, would they be in substantially the same condition as the 6 recordings on this disc that's marked as proposed exhibit 62?
Yes, sir.
Now, how many of these calls, if any, are from the account of Jaylin Brazier?
3.
Okay.
If you call number 22, call 35, and call number 46 or 43.
Okay. And so there are other calls from a different account?
Yes, sir.
And what numbers were those calls from different accounts to?
The call 01, that was going to be to his mother's account, which is 313-412-5608.
Okay, and in terms of the Telmate system, do you have records to determine whether there's any names associated with particular phone numbers that are being utilized by inmates?
Yes, sir.
And is there any record that you had for the number 5608?
Yes, sir.
And what was that record?
Angela Milton, when she set up her account, and the deposits are all going to be under that name and that phone number.
Okay. And how about the on this particular disc, are there calls attributable to other inmate accounts to another number?
Yes, sir.
And what's that number?
That'd be the 516-7046 number, 313 area code.
Okay, and again, do you have records in the Telmate system that can tell you whether there's a particular name associated with that number?
Yes, sir.
And what name is associated with that number?
Katrina Smith,
Okay.
as well as deposits.
With that, Your Honor, I move to admit proposed exhibit 62.
No objection.
Thank you. May I publish?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna put up the list of files on the screen for purposes of exhibit 62. What sort of information can we glean from these 6 file names? Let's just start with the one at the top, just by way of example. What information is contained within the file name here?
It'll be the inmate's last name, where the call came from.
So for this first call, who would be the inmate associated with the account that originated the call?
Tiggs, Matthew Tiggs.
Okay, and what's the next row of information? Is that a phone number?
Yes, it'd be the phone number that was dialed by the inmate.
Okay, and then after the phone number, what do the other numbers signify?
It'd be the date and time that the call was made, the time would be a military time.
Okay. And in terms of these file names, is that something that you create, or is that system generated when the calls are exported from Telmate?
System generated.
And I want to start with publishing the call that it begins with the number 22. And so looking again at this particular file, which inmate is associated with this phone call?
Brazier,
Okay, and what is the number dialed?
313-516-7046.
And what is the date of the call?
I think it's going to be August 9th, 2023.
Okay, and I'm going to publish just a brief portion of this, starting at the beginning of the call.
Jaylin Brazier, Wayne County.
An inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. The inmate has requested that you pay for this call. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmate.
And I'm going to stop at 21 seconds into the call and move forward to approximately 3 minutes and 20 seconds.
I don't know. they said a lot of stuff that I have questions for, but I don't wanna ask that over the phone. Like, a lot of shit. I don't know, babe. I can't say anything, I can't ask you certain things, because of course it's gonna be entirely incriminating, and it's gonna try to use this against you in the courthouse, or try to subpoena me again and ask me, why did you ask me?
Hey, stop. Calm down. Relax. Okay? Remember, no matter what they ask you, you have your choice on even responding at all. Okay? So calm down that day. Outside of anything like that, what other questions do you need me to answer for you, baby? Because I want you sitting with anything on your mind that's bothering you.
About the 16-year-old, who was somebody talking about?
It's on time. She asked at the time, because she basically tried to, when I was talking to you, not to like the conversation. Okay, when
No,
I was dealing with Daria, I know I'm dealing with Daria, she was FaceTiming me. I'm like, bro, I'm busy. And they're basically trying to
never mind.
yeah, but yeah, it's nothing involving you, baby. But they're trying to like, I don't know, but the lawyer, Brian and Donnie really like cut into it and got it taken off of what's name, like it's not something to be used and all that stuff anymore. It's completely pointless.
So they're gonna try to use the crunch and what you said against yourself?
No, because that's hypothetical, metaphorical. It's not proven. If you watch it, Brown kind of goes right on talking about all that and everything. So yeah, just watch it in detail, listen to what they say, and you'll get the gist of what I'm saying. But as far as anything else, yeah, we take the recommendations from the attorney.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to be a part of none of this shit no more. Like, I really cannot.
That's exactly why you need to. I don't think you should get together. If so, take the advice from the attorney.
I will, baby.
Like 100%. And then after that, just don't respond. Yeah.
Like, don't say that's what help me. Like, I already know.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop at 6 minutes and 7 seconds and move on to file number 43 on exhibit 62. And Corporal Solberg, if you look at file number 43 again, what inmate is associated with the account that originated this particular call?
Brazier,
And what is the number that was dialed?
313-516-7046.
And that's the same one from the last call that we just reviewed?
Yes, sir.
And what's the date of this particular call?
January 25th, 2024.
Okay, and I'm gonna publish just the first minute and 30 seconds of this file.
From and paid for by
Jaylin Brazier, Wayne County.
an inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmate.
No.
Hello?
Hey, I know your word. But nothing really new. The judge told the prosecutor to come at me with a plea or something. As far as what the judge is trying to do, not the judge, the prosecutor is leaning toward, leaning a lot on the whole little crunch, essentially, and so it's a serious thing, but there's a lawyer that's not enough much to be worried about. But there's, remember it was recommended for you to do it prelim.
Yeah.
He said it's stressing this to you because the prosecutor, it sounded like they try to use
Me.
yeah, essentially, and how I'm feeling about it, very much would need to have to do what the hell it was recommended the last time.
So basically, he's gonna, since he don't have nothing, they're gonna use me to get you.
That's what it sounded like.
No, that's what they're trying to do, because obviously.
Okay, I'm gonna stop at 1 minute and 32 seconds. 35 on exhibit 62. And if we look at file number 35 again, what is the what's the inmate account that originated this particular call?
Brazier,
And again, what is the number dialed?
the 516 number, 746 again.
And what's the date of this particular call?
It's going to be January 27th, 2024.
And I'm going to publish this.
And paid for by
Jaylin Brazier, Wayne County.
an inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmate.
And I'm going to skip ahead from the 17-second mark to approximately 2 minutes and 45 seconds into the call.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
You watch the movie
Mm-hmm.
for 2 hours, and then that, even though we're not together, I used the movie to rock with you.
Yeah. That's it. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Just, I don't know, how we communicate. Honest with each other and shit like that. And if I do decide to go the whole way with this situation, and just listen to what I'm saying, not a very specific way, of course, but as good as you can, don't be there. You feel me?
Huh?
I said, as good as you can, don't be there. You don't have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, because I just don't want to see you in that predicament again. It just bothers me about that first personal situation.
Well, the only option is don't take it there. They're gonna subpoena everybody.
No.
If we can approach.
Sure.
Okay, and just for the record, the call is stopped at the 3-minute and 57. I'm sorry, 3-minute and 56-second mark. And I want to move to the call number 8 on the list. If we look at call number 8, is there a different inmate associated with originating this specific call?
Yes, sir.
And what's that inmate's name?
Turner.
And what is the number dialed in terms of this specific call?
Same number, 313-516-7046.
And what is the date of that call?
December 25th, 2023.
Okay.
And paid for by
Terrell Turner.
an inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmate.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, I catch you busy?
No?
Okay, I need you to look up something for me so I can call you when it's different what's that? Look up the pros and cons, positives and negatives to recanting a statement. So that's all I've been talking to my lawyer about. That's literally all they're using against me right now. And probably trying to build a theory off of everything, but I have to tell them the whole thing with the first lawyer. And build off that. I want to see what you say about that. I want to educate myself on it a little more first.
Say it again.
The positives and negatives of recanting a statement in a criminal case. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What you up to? You still playing game?
Yeah, I'm about to play Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, I forgot about that motherfucking game. that's one of the big games too. You never actually finished, but there's so much to do.
a bunch more shrines.
Mm-hmm. Good. Leveling your hearts and shit up. You gotta look at some armors and shit like I told you. I'm telling you. A lot of them.
I know that's the next thing I need to do. I'm trying to upgrade on my health and my stamina.
Look at you get back in the gaming.
He said the positive necklace of canceling.
Recanting.
Recanting a statement.
In a criminal case. Thank you. I wasn't trying to throw you for a loop earlier with my question or anything. It was more of an emotional question, a survival question. I see how that was a little spontaneous for you.
Yeah.
Where the fuck did he get these questions from, bro? I'm like, nah, it's not random. It's just that random, bro. And I hope I ain't fucking with the lineup too. I don't know if I say cricket or if it's crispy. So please don't try to fry me when you see me later. Cause I'm gonna get on your ass. But what's it saying? How's my shot feeling too? He still laying down feeling sick and shit?
Yeah, he underneath me. He ever left my side.
It's a shame. I know my baby 6 feet crying as hell. And then I was just thinking what you want to get. I mean, everything closed. You can't go get medicine.
Man. I took his shirt off and wiped it down with a cold rag.
Good.
That seemed to chill it out a little bit. But once you get hot again, then I'm like I'm down again. So he just been asking me for hugs.
Alright, what are you saying? What's it saying?
Pros and cons of changing your domestic violence statement.
Let's change it, edit it something for my situation.
That's what you're talking about.
You know like what my charge is? Maybe adding that to it. Church. Hey, Deshaun. Hey, you want to come and play your favorite game?
Yeah.
How you guys had a bunch of toys? You tell mommy thank you?
Yeah, and my mommy and the table by me.
I bet it. Hello?
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah. But just read it to me, whatever you say.
It's still standing domestic violence stuff.
You sound a little muffled. Just edit it and take off the criminal aspect of it. Just look up the pros and cons of the candidate statement. How about that? Because, yeah. I prayed, and this is what came to me after I prayed and meditated for a minute. It's like, maybe this would be a better option.
Stop at 5 minutes and 43 seconds. We're going to move on to the next call, number 3. If we look at that call, Corporal Solberg, is there a specific inmate associated with originating that call?
Yes, sir.
And what's that inmate's last name?
Manny,
And what's the number dialed for purposes of that call?
same number, 516-746,
And
213 area code.
what's the date of that call?
It's going to be January 27, 2024.
Okay. And Your Honor, if I could just have one moment to check my notes on this, I just want to make sure that we approach, Judge?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's something we need to take out outside your presence. We'll have you go into the jury room. We'll have you out of the supervisor. We're outside the presence of the jury.
And Your Honor, as discussed at sidebar, the next call, and again, this is call number 3 on Exhibit 62, contains some discussion I believe Mr. Brown has some objection to, so I just wanted to play it outside the presence of the jury so that we could hash this out.
Sure.
So I'm going to publish basically the first minute, and then
and paid for by
If we could turn that down.
an inmate at Wade County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Tommy.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, make sure not to say a name on there, okay? My name is, okay, what my mom say, everything.
You didn't want to report any phone record, right?
Baby, they asked it, know what's going on. Trust me. What she said.
and so that's 35 seconds, and that's just the first portion that I plan on publish, just to show that he's
Trying to deceive.
trying to manipulate, the system, obviously. The second portion starts about 6 minutes into the call.
And to be fair, right after that, there's conversation from this other caller to my client indicating that what his mother said about if he takes the trial. And it's a lot of back and forth conversation about that. So we're skipping a great portion of it and kind of taking the conversation out of context, where he's going and making his final statement saying, okay, if I go to trial, then this. And it's after a lot of pressure from this outside influences on multiple people from the family who's indicating how they feel about him going to trial. And you're right, I just think that's improper. I mean, the first portion of it is as far as I'm okay with that, but if he's stating that, I'm thinking about not going to trial, or for whatever reason, because people may not want to go to trial for multiple reasons, if they're innocent or not. And I believe that particular statement is a confession or any type of admission of guilt if he's just contemplating what other individuals are saying about how they feel about him going to trial. And some of it has to do with whether or not they would come in and the publicity that they're receiving from this particular trial by testifying and having their face broadcasted across the media.
So I guess if, and I can understand that argument, the specific portion that, could we just play the few minutes that I was hoping to publish, just so that the court can hear that out, and if we need to backtrack to hear the whole conversation, we can go from there. But starting at the 6-minute mark.
You as a weapon against me, or just use it. Like, I just don't want to put you through none of this shit anymore, bro.
I already knew that.
mean, like he's highly planning to try to do business.
Because all the phone calls, I already know he's been listening.
Like, bro, it's scary. And then some of the things from the crunch, this motherfucker is going to take extremely out of context. Like, that's the main thing. I'm like, yeah, that's so bad. Very much trying to check maybe essentially. But like I said, I'm gonna call my lawyer one day, so I'm just give me something, give me something that's not a penny, that's under 10, please. That's all.
It's not going to get 10. It's not going to be under 6. That you big plan.
Oh, don't talk about that damn screen.
But they're not going to present you no 10, no 5 to 10, no 15 to 15, probably 15 to 20. But if they give you 25 years, your mom said negotiate it down and take it. She said do not let your arrogance drive you. She said she's jealous, she's for real. Like
I know.
She's been crying about this.
I know. I'm going to tell it in my head. I'm here going through it.
Man, you better stick with it.
Whatever it is, I'm going to have them negotiate it. Whether it's 10 or they talk about the 15 shit, it's something, okay? Negotiate something. Literally, or I know it could be 10, but I don't know yet, okay? Nobody knows. Only thing you told my mom is, what the hell, what can happen to me if I lose? And
Yeah.
after this court date, it's a lot less in my favor.
Yep. And taking a trial would be a death wish.
Taking a child to suicide, actually, was a death wish, should be suicide. Yeah.
I think that was the main thing, taking it to trial would be a suicide.
And Your Honor, that's just highly prejudicial. It contains hearsay of what his mother allegedly told her about his chances of going to trial. And it's definitely going to fairly unprejudice my client to the fact where the jury said, okay, if he's thinking about, negotiating, he must be guilty if he's even, because if he was innocent, he wouldn't even take if they offered him 1 day. I mean, they could come to that conclusion, Your Honor, and I don't think this is for a proper purpose other than to try to prejudice the jury under the assumption that if my client was contemplating or even listening to negotiating, and this was after a court date where Your Honor, indicated is their offer for the record, and he's basically letting his girlfriend know that Your Honor asked the prosecutor if there's a particular offer, and he's contemplating, okay, if there's an offer, I might take, 5 or 10 years. But that, in my opinion, is not an admission of guilt. Like I stated earlier, there are multiple reasons why an individual would contemplate a plea. In fact, if they could be innocent, Your Honor. So we would ask for this, other than maybe the first portion when he's indicating that, okay, they have to know what's up when his girlfriend is indicating, okay, they're listening on the phone calls. I mean, I guess that would be okay, but everything after that is just highly prejudicial.
Yeah, and Judge, I mean, I guess my response is just that I think it's interesting that in this specific call that he, at the outset, he makes clear that he's trying to be deceptive. He's trying to have this more candid conversation that he thinks he can have because he's on another inmate's account. And then he finally gives this candid assessment of what he believes are his chances of trial, and that's that it's a suicide. And I think that strongly goes to his consciousness of guilt and the incredibility of these previous statements that he's made. And so I'm not aware anyways of, and I could be wrong on this, that putting in a defendant's own statements about the possibility of contemplating a plea would be inadmissible. It's been a while since I've looked at that case law, but my recollection is that that is admissible. I believe it's been admitted before, but we'll just leave it at that.
And definitely the prejudicial value would highly, highly outweigh any probative value. And the only purpose that Mr. Elsey would like this portion of the phone call to be entered is to prejudice the jury to say that, oh, if he was innocent, there's no way in the world he would even contemplate for even a half a second about negotiating for a plea. And that, Your Honor, that's just untrue. In multiple cases, there could be a plethora of reasons why an individual would contemplate negotiating. He didn't say that, oh, I want to plead guilty because I'm guilty. But if he said that, like, oh, I'm guilty, I want to plead guilty, I don't care, I don't want to go to trial. But if he's weighing the pros and cons and saying, okay, I want to at least negotiate to see what they have to have, because they're trying to use a lot of things out of context against me that are untrue, and it could have an appearance of being a certain way that is not. And I understand that as a rational individual. So at least let me hear a possible negotiation, because I understand what the prosecutor's doing, trying to flip my words and try to flip things out of context. And they're doing that right now, which is very request. They're trying to flip his words and take them out of context in an attempt to prove his guilt. So that just confirms his fear of proceeding for these particular actions that have been persisting since the onset of this
Do
case.
you have the authority one way or the other you could cite?
I don't have it at the top of my hand, Your Honor, but if the court wanted to give me a few minutes, I could try to find some. Because I know I have looked into this issue before. I just
Yeah, it
don't
would
have
be
the-
nice to have a little bit of guidance. I mean, the civil context offers a compromise or admissible. This is obviously not that sort of.
Right, I mean, under 408, I mean, that applies to confidential settlement communications.
Right.
But that, I think we're not in the territory
No, I
of
know,
confidential.
but we're certainly in a position where somebody's trying to figure out, there's a number of different reasons why people do things, right? I mean, they may, try to limit exposure, understanding that, even though they may, maintain their innocence, they think that there's maybe a chance to be convicted, and you want to limit exposure.
Absolutely.
So I think you need a little bit of authority before I can make a decision.
Okay, I guess, I don't want to hold us up, so what I propose is that I just be able to publish that first 36 seconds of the call discussing the sort of scheming about using the other inmate's account, and then I'll forego the rest of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Please be seated, all the members of the jury are present.
Okay, for the record, in terms of Exhibit 62, I'm now going to publish roughly the first 36 seconds of call number 3.
And paid for by an inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telmex.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, make sure not to say a name on here, okay? My name. Okay, what my mom say, everything.
You didn't know that they can pull this phone record, right?
Baby, they have to know what's going on. Trust me. What she said.
Okay, and stopping at the 36-second mark. And then moving to the final call on the list, call number 1. Who is the inmate associated with the account that originated this call?
Diggs,
And what is the number dialed here?
412-5608, 313 code.
Okay, and that's different from the other numbers, on the other number on the other calls, is that
Yes, sir.
correct? Okay, what was the date of this particular call?
March 20th, 2024.
And I'm gonna publish that exhibit, or that call rather, call number 1, starting from the.
This is a call from
Laboratory Kids, Wayne County.
an inmate at Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. The inmate has requested that you pay for this call. Press 1 to accept all communications from this inmate. Thank you for using Telmate.
Just don't try to mention my name on here, but you can speak and tell me what you're talking about now.
Yeah,
So what was going on? I said, so what was going on?
nothing else, just,
Hear me. Look, this is my phone I'm calling you up of. So you can just tell me what was said, essentially.
remember, the, things first happened in the situation?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that being about, they came over to, over there.
You say who came over there?
They came over there to get your car, and food and gun.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Okay, remember when, I was having a conversation, and, you was right there, and, he was there, and, I was saying how the
And
family.
essentially, okay, I understand that something was said, maybe something was shared, and so I guess it's like somebody made a mistake or whatever. Was it specifically talking about these?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. When hear me out, because I already went over that and everything. In my paperwork and everything, tell him to stick to what he said when they went up to DPD. It literally said that he said he knew nothing about anything, nothing at all. The prosecutor is going to try to make, well, I assume so, try to make him go back on anything. But I asked if y'all really did or something like that, and just no. That's all you got to do. That's my lawyer said. Just no, and just stick to that. Because the only thing they have on deed is his and when he went to DPD for whatever interrogation, whatever the hell. And just no, nothing. I never talking about it, never text anything, nothing like that. Okay. Same for you. There's nothing. I have all my discoveries, Mom. I have all my discoveries, literally. And just nothing like that. Go ahead.
You know how going for that about what his crazy office here.
If you could pause.
Yeah, he
Yeah, you can approach.
Okay, and just for the record, call number 1 is stopped at the 3 minutes and 5-second mark, and I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Examination.
No questions.
Any questions from the jury? Seeing that's